My name is Brian. I kind of run the tech support here, along with my partner Chris here. We overlap all day long, so you might get one of us on the phone if you ever do call in. What I'm going to do is just kind of walk you through the main points of the website that you'll kind of look at when you log in. And when you do get a login and you log in, you might just see the Guilford County Schools house here by itself. We always have the drop-down arrow to the left of the house. When we open that, it opens up the whole umbrella of schools underneath the district there. Okay. Additionally, in front of the house at each school, there's a drop-down that shows the assets, and then one last drop-down will show the asset measure, which is generally going to be your temperatures here. Everything is kind of going to be controlled off this left side. We have these big indicators at the top of the house that kind of let us know what's going on at each of the sites. And, ideally, we want all of these to have the green check mark saying everything is okay. The okay kind of represents all assets at the site being within their temperature range, online and recording data. So when we look at any of these and click on any of the temperatures at any time, we're going to have a last value window up here in the top right-hand corner, which is just going to represent the last check-in and what the temperature was reading. Down below in the chart, we can kind of see what's been going on with our temperatures at any given time. When we look in here at the first temperature on our daily chart is going to be on or just after midnight. And then generally, the default setting out of the box is going to give us a temperature measure. Every 15 minutes, it's going to record one and then send it through to the IntelliGate. The IntelliGate is the device that's plugged into the manager's office, generally that's plugged into internet and to power. And it is just basically going to be a gateway, to get our temperatures from the site locally to the website and apps for us to view, get the alerts and so forth. When we look at our chart in support, if there's an issue, we're going to kind of pull up some previous measures just to see how this thing has been running. At the top of the chart area on the right, you can use the back arrows to go back a day at a time, and generally we'll do that. Just look at the last few days, and then we'll go back to our current day. We also have the 3 vertical circles here. If we click on those, it opens up a ledger of a day at a time, week at a time, month at a time, or a custom view here. Whoops. The custom view is just going to have 2 calendars, kind of a start and an end calendar there. You're going to select the date range you want to start with, and then your end date as well, and you can just hit that execute. It'll pull up whatever stretch you chose. When we look at this in support, after a while, you just look at the pattern. When we see a high spike, that indicates something was happening, with whether somebody was loading or unloading when this thing checked in, left a door open, what have you. The next time it checks in, it's right back down to the temp. So, we generally see that as a loading or unloading, something like that. If you want to go back to the current day, you can just go back to day, select it, and it brings us right back to today on the chart there. The other way we can kind of view our temperatures here, whether it be a day at a time, weekly, monthly, however you want to look at it, is through our value history. At the top right-hand corner up here, there is 4 little squares that says views. If we select that while we're on any temperature, we can select the value history, and what it does is it turns that chart into just a line-by-line numerical temperature value. It's all dated with timestamps, just like the chart is, and it's just a different way of viewing, the temperature check-ins, your measures for that given period of time. We still have our back arrow. We can go back and look at a previous day, in this view, or 3 circles, which we can kind of pull up any day, week, month, or custom view. We also have a little export page here. If we want to take a snapshot of this report, if you will, we can just take that and select that and dump it right onto your desktop. Then you can quickly, file that away or send it to somebody if you need to. We can go back to our views, go back to our dashboard, and we have that same export page here. We can quickly export a quick snapshot of that to the desktop as well. And now you kind of have, whether it's an excursion or some sort of data that you have to document you have two different ways to document it quickly just by, downloading those snapshots to your desktop. Additionally, all manager credentials, if you see on the left-hand side of my page, has this little configuration gear wheel. Everywhere I move my cursor, it follows me around. This is our edit wheel, so to speak, for all manager credentials. It takes us into the back end of the device. When we build all of the coolers and freezers for walk-ins, we have a general asset measure type template here, and that's just going to generalize these high and lows that are kind of given to us by HACCP. Nothing can generally go below 32 in a cooler or above 45 before it's deemed kind of bad. If we wanted to change these or adjust these at all in the thresholds, all we have to do is select the drop down arrow. You'll see a list of templates here for all of our templates that we have. At the top, there's a blank space. If we select that and hit our save now we have the ability to adjust our thresholds. If we want to expand those, retract those a little bit, we can freely adjust those. Additionally, we can bypass and or snooze the alarms here just by selecting the box for the bypass. The snooze, if you select the box, it automatically snoozes for 1 hour, and we can click on our little calendar here and choose the time down below and the date to basically add our snooze until, and on that time and date, the snooze just automatically will fall off on its own.
Hey, Brian, quick question on that snooze. Is the snooze a function where you could set that out 12 weeks if they were going to empty out a freezer and shut it down for the summer?
You got it. The snooze and the bypass both affect the temperature alerts only. So these are for the temperatures, okay? The snooze and the bypass doesn't affect or collect or stop, prevent any disconnect from the internet or disconnect due to low battery, anything like that. Those are still going to get pushed through during a bypass or a snooze because that's a device alert. That's not a temperature alert, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So even if you have a bypass or a snooze set, that's going to be basically bypassing or snoozing the temperature settings here. So basically something can go critically higher or critically lower as long as that bypass or snooze is engaged and no temperature alarms will be sent. But if the device disconnects, that disconnect device will be sent because it's a device alarm, if that, okay?
Kim, you had a question?
No, this is Suzanne. I had a question.
Oh, sorry, Suzanne.
If we have a site that's closed, like Archer, for example, Archer,
yeah.
the school closed, freezer's empty. Actually, it looks like we disconnected the IntelliGate. But Swan or ACOG, let me see.
Swan and Archer.
ACOG, Swan, that's disconnected also. So I was wondering if we could like put those on like a indefinite snooze.
Yeah, so and I'm about to get to the device part here where I can actually use this one as an example and kind of show you how we can kind of take this out of disconnect and kind of essentially out of commission altogether. There's a couple sites here. If you look at Claxton, there's no icon next to it. That tells us that this site is not a currently monitored site. Same with Faust here. It shows there's no icon next to it, so we can just disassociate, if you will, our device from it. I'll get to that in here in just a second and kind of cover that for you, and that'll all make a little bit more sense for you. Continuing on really quickly with the configuration, at the asset name, it's simply going to be that if you add another walk-in cooler and now you have two, you want to name this one maybe combo if it's connected to the freezer, anything like that. But that's what we can do with our configuration for the name. Again, just manager credentials will have this opportunity to make these changes. And then lastly, at the house level, if we click on that configuration, mostly in the information page is really just going to be the name of the site and then the address here. When we go to the devices in this area, the system's going to be comprised of these two main pieces to the system. The IntelliGate, this is our gateway device. This is the one that's going to be plugged into the manager's offices. It's going to have the internet and the power plugged into it. It's got the big 6-inch antenna necessary to get all of our temperatures back through that antenna. And this thing is just going to be programmed to check into the website here every couple of minutes. And when it has temperature data, it will bring that over here as well and have that displayed here for us to see. So as we see this thing check in, it's just going to keep doing its thing and checking in. The Temp NTC 40 device, this is the unit that's connected to the cooler and the freezer on site there. And this device is just a simple data logger device. It's got these two specialty batteries on the inside. They are a 24 milliamp, 3.6 volt lithium AA size battery. That's the only AA size, thing about these batteries. So a regular AA battery or a regular Energizer lithium, none of those batteries will power the unit. It has to be the 24 milliamp, 3.6 volt lithium battery. These batteries last very long in the field. We generally see anywhere from 18 months to 3 years plus in the field from them. And we can actually look at the batteries in any of our units as long as they're active. We can kind of see what the battery's doing. As long as we can pile in, look in here, we can kind of go back just like we can the temperatures, any day, week, month, custom view. And anytime these batteries, as long as they're above 5.7 volts, you are going to be in good shape. As long as they check in below 5.7 volts for multiple times, you're going to get a critical battery alarm letting you know it's time to change them. Generally, if you have it in the 6 volt range or higher, you're going to be fine. Once you start getting to the point to where that first number is a 5, it's time to start changing these things. We don't generally advise putting a calendar date on the calendar and have these changed every year, because a lot of these you might be throwing away like still a brand new battery. These batteries are only used under load, meaning when they're taking that temperature and sending it to the IntelliGate, which is about 4 times an hour, 4 to 8 seconds an hour. These things are using their juice. So again, these two batteries in each of these units, we tend to see at least 18 months in the field. We have a year warranty on all new batteries. If you buy either new hardware from us that comes with a new set of batteries, or you purchase batteries through us, we have a year warranty on them because we generally see them last 18 months plus. So that's kind of how these things are going to work. The NTC device it's just going to log a temperature every 15 minutes. It's going to send it to the IntelliGate, go to sleep. The IntelliGate's going to check into the system every couple of minutes and dump the temperature data that it has on it, and then it's going to just go to sleep, and then 3 minutes later wake back up, do it all over again. How we know what's connected to what is up here in our measurements tab. We can click on that. We can see our walk-in cooler and walk-in freezer here. We can select those simply if we want to move them or remove them. We can select on the asset itself and simply remove those assets with the drop down. Just simply select the blank space at the top to remove the assets. Once we do that, we don't have any icon on our house anymore. So as we were talking about the other location over here at, I believe it was Archer, or I think it was, where you didn't want to have the disconnect any longer. This was the one. We click on Archer. If it was Archer or ACOC, I can't remember which one it was, we simply have to go to the device, remove our cooler and freezer from the device, and we no longer have that disconnect. We no longer have an icon at all next to it. Okay. I'll go and remove that here in a moment once we get confirmation that that's really gone, but we'll kind of continue on really quickly here. Only other thing here, just like we can check our batteries, we can also check the signal between the IntelliGate and the IntelliSensor. We have down here at the very bottom of our screen, RX signal strength number here. Right to the right of it, we have a signal history. So just like the temperatures, just like the batteries, we can look at our our signal, how these things are communicating in any day, week, month, custom view that we want to here. And as long as this number stays below -80, we are in good shape. So -79 and lower is good. -81 and higher is terrible. So the signal, if the signal is good, below -80, this number, and our battery is good, above 5.8 volts or 5.7 volts, we are going to be just clicking right along here. If we get some low batteries, you're going to get a critical battery alarm. We generally see the batteries, once you start getting that alarm, last anywhere from 2 to 5 days on average. So we generally, we'll kind of just let you know, once you start getting those critical battery alarms, you got on average, a work week to get those changed before the unit will die. If it dies completely due to the batteries, what we got to do is just change those batteries. When we put the new batteries in, a little LED light will come on inside the sensor, letting you know that you got good battery voltage inside the unit. You just simply have to trigger our sensor with our magnet tool to take a real-time temperature and pair that newly changed battery device, to the system. So any of the devices, the IntelliSensor devices rather, go down and they have low batteries, we just have to generally change those batteries. We can trigger the device by sliding the magnet tool down the right side of it across the white ID label on the outside of the right side of the device. On the cover, just where it says IntelliSensor, there's a white arrow that points to the middle of that IntelliSensor over on the right side. That just kind of shows where you have to pass the magnet tool by. We generally have a magnet or a magnet tool at each one of these locations. The magnet should either be a little round earth magnet, or the magnet tool is a E-Control Systems labeled screwdriver with our support email and phone number labeled onto it. We'll have a screwdriver on one end and then just a little magnet on the other end that the screwdriver tip doesn't have on it. And again, we just slide that across the white label one time, and that should repair any of these devices if we are in good range, have good batteries, and the IntelliGate is on.
Hey, Brian, just so you know, these guys are back from the round disc magnet era. We didn't have the screwdrivers back when Guilford County went in.
Yeah, that's why I referenced both of them. I figured they might have some of these earth magnets, which are actually I like them a little bit better because we know that
any pretty decent magnet re-triggers it, but the screwdriver helps get the small Phillips head screws out.
Yeah, and we can get some of those sent out as well to have at each of these sites if needed too, from the office. In the user section, again, we got a couple options for users. We have a user option, a power user option, and then a manager option. Generally at the individual sites, site managers are going to be power users. That means they can't make the changes, they can't add or delete things in the system, they can't remove devices, things like that. They will be receiving the alerts, and they'll just really be simple things, either disconnected or temperature's too high, temperature's too low, sometimes the batteries. And a lot of these are going to be really self-explanatory. When you get the alert, it'll kind of tell you either the asset name, which will be walk-in cooler or walk-in freezer at the site, or it'll give you the device name, and it'll just give you the device ID that will kind of tell you, hey, low batteries on the device, or it'll be IntelliGate disconnected, things like that on these alarms. The managers, if you're making a new user, we can generally make any of these new users for you in support, but you simply just have to select the add user down below. We will select these boxes for all of these boxes for managers, the top 3 for users and power users. That just will let them kind of log into their account without having to do it through a special activation that's sent in an email, and then it allows for their password to continue and not expire. In some of our medical applications, they require constant password changes for people through their network security. Schools, generally, they don't, and you don't want to on top of not requiring it. Just because there's so many different passwords and logins that people already have in a day, we don't want to make that further complicated by having you constantly have to rechange your password. Only other things here in this section that we require: primary email. This is going to be for support contact as well as where the email alerts will go primarily. Then username and password. You can give them any username. Generally, we will go with first initial, last name, or last name, first initial if those aren't already taken. And then you just got to give them first name, last name, and time zone where the alerts are going to go. And then last of all will be the user type. The different levels of permissions, like I say, the manager is going to be our top level. They're going to have all the permissions to do everything in the system that we can do in support. The managers can do here in Fusion Live. And then as well, we have the power user and user. The user is kind of a view only. They can get the alarms, they can run a report, and they can view. The power user has the ability to snooze those alarms. That's the difference between the user and the power user. And then, of course, you know, the people in charge are always going to be the managers. We can add an SMS number for text messages to any of these users at any time. Any manager can add these to any users or power users or other managers, or you can remove them if you feel like that you're getting too many alerts. You don't like the texts, you know, the emails are fine. Or you have a voice number or down below, you can have a voice call, which will be kind of Siri, Alexa style robotic. You know, it'll speak what the alert is, and then it'll hang up. So each user can have up to 3 emails. There's an email 2 and email 3 as well, and then as well as a text and or a call. Most people will just do the primary email and throw a text alert on there as well, but you can have up to 5 forms of alert per individual user. Okay. And then the last thing, once the users have been created here in the system, they're not automatically added to alerts. There's an alert subscription at each site as well as the top level where you can add or remove people from the alerts. So anytime you create a user, you have to come down here to the alert subscription and add them to the alerts if you want them to receive the alerts. Obviously, if we create the users for you in support, we will always add your users to the alerts. So if you don't want a user that we create for you in support to get the alerts, you'll have to specify that you don't want them added to the alerts. We do have a lot of people who are managers in the system, but they don't ever get the alerts. They just able to view and make the changes, and then, you know, other managers and site supervisors will get those alerts and act on those, you know, from the training here. So when we're in Fusion Live in the back end, we're really going to be in 3 places. That's you and us in support. We're always in devices, users and contacts, and alert subscription. We do a couple other programs with Fusion Live here involving food lines and food probing and things like that. That's where you'll see the items and the forms here. That's food items and menus that we build for the IntelliCheck program. For IntelliSense, that doesn't really, you know, it's nothing you'll really look at here. And then asset types, asset measure types, these are all custom templates and stuff, like kind of how we built for the thresholds in these. You can kind of build your own custom, you know, thresholds if you want to. You know, most of the time these thresholds are never going to really change in schools for walk-ins, but that's kind of what those other areas are. The only other thing here with Fusion Live is the other pages of the website. If we look at it from the Guilford County Schools level, this can give us a really good, up here in the views, a really good indication. These are the other pages of the website. We have an active alarms page. So when I select this one, the site scrub that I'm going to pull up at the end here is just basically going to be this. This active alarms only will show you all your current alarms from the longest to the shortest. So what this will kind of show is everything that's wrong with your system. So this is really detailed by asset and site. It goes by duration at the top, so it'll show you the things that have been in you know, an issue for the longest and then for the shortest here. Once we clear everything up, this will say no records found here. This is how we want it to look, your alarms page. That means every single thing under the umbrella is good and functioning online and in range and all those fun things. So if we go to a school site that's green, this is what their alarms page will look like here under Alamance. And we go back to Guilford and it shows all of the current issues we're looking to resolve. Same thing with tickets. The tickets are the driver of our alarms. So, you know, the only way we can stop an alarm from continuing to go out without it resolving itself is to come over to the ticket. You can open the ticket at the far right, just simply selecting it. It's going to tell you the location, the asset or the device, and then the ticket reason at the top right-hand corner. So with the temperature, it just tells us that we got a high threshold alarm going on here at Kirkman Park. If, you know, we have somebody on site getting this alarm, they'll go and look, you know, they can confirm, oh yeah, the door was open, we shut it. All they have to do to stop the alarm from continuing out is to select that acknowledge box and then the save down below. Once they do that, not only does it acknowledge that alarm, but it will show in the system who acknowledged it and the time and date that they did that on. So generally what I like to do is I like to go to an old ticket, something that's really old that I know we either don't care about or something that has been resolved. So what I'll do here is I'll use Alamance since Alamance is good. We can come into this old ticket here and we're just going to open it up and I'm going to acknowledge that ticket and hit the save. And what this will do is just for accountability purposes, it shows everybody else here who whether they work for E-Control Systems or work for Guilford County Schools, who is in their system and who acknowledged the alarm. Generally, this is going to be somebody from your side, unless you guys call and say, hey, you know, we're fixing a cooler or freezer. Can you acknowledge or shut down, you know, Alderman or Alan J? You know, we'll come in here and we'll acknowledge it. And when we acknowledge it, we're going to put a little note in the cause or action, you know. We'll just put construction there. And now under the ticket cause, we have in that line construction. We can take it a step further and then in the ticket, I just always put I'll always just put a little, just in case somebody looks at this ticket later, that it was a training ticket, but I just put acknowledged construction and then it's got my name and the time and date, you know, here in it. Once we get through the issue, we can come back into that ticket and you can close that ticket out and you can hit save. Once you do that, it just disappears from your open tickets area and it lives over here in all tickets now. We can go back into all tickets. If we wanted to, we could even reopen that ticket, okay? So when we look at the tickets are generally the driver of the alarm. So acknowledging that ticket by checking that box on the ticket page is the only way you can stop that alarm from continuing to go out before it actually resolves itself. You can also come in and snooze a temperature alarm once something's in alarm, and it will change that state from in alarm to snooze right away. But acknowledging the ticket will stop that alarm. All right. We have an asset dashboard here. When you're on the Guilford County school level and you select that asset dashboard, what it does, it's going to take a second to load, but it's going to load every school and it's going to load all of their assets at each school. So we can select our full screen here and still won't have enough of the page here to kind of show it. But what it does is it takes that far left side out and now we just have all of our sites that we can kind of scroll down through and look at all of them at one time instead of having to click on each one individually. We can see what each location is doing and what's going on with each of these sites. If we want to go back, we can just simply, yeah.
Brian, I don't mean to interrupt here, but I just want to share with the people while I'm thinking of it, is that this is a great tool for your district. We have a lot of our customers have adopted this as part of their standard operating procedure, where they've invested in a screen of some sort in their child nutrition office, or, you know, some places have even put up tablets within the kitchens. But it's a great tool because what it does, it gets everybody engaged. As long as you're in the green, you just go about your day, do your business. When you see a blue show up or you see a red show up, you say, okay, well, we got to disconnect because that's, you know, that's what blue is, and you got a critical because that's what the red is. So you can address it, and it just gets more people involved, more people engaged. This continuously updates every couple of minutes, so you're always going to have the current information. And so it's just a great resource for our customers to get everything on one screen and get more people involved. So that's just my 2 cents on it. So go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
Yeah. No, not a problem at all. This is the best feedback feature that we have too. You know, everybody loves having this. Like Terry was saying, a lot of people will put this in their lobbies or in their, you know, in their conference rooms or whatever, so they can always kind of see this stuff. But in any event, that's just something you can do. You can look at everything at once, or at an individual site, you can have it up on a corner of your computer. You can make this smaller and just always have it up there on the corner, just watching, you know, just like Terry said, as long as it's green, you know, it's good, but your eyes will catch it. As soon as one of these turn red or blue, you know, your eyes will see that and kind of, you know, engage you to act a little bit. Only other thing here is going to be the bread and butter, which is going to be the reports. Okay. With these reports, we do constant regular data backups. So, you know, if you were a customer who started 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I forget how long we've been here, all that data from day one is still here in the website. So you can go back as long as you've been a customer here and see all that website, all that data in the website, and you can run old reports from any of that old data that you need or want to. Generally, after a year or two, you know, you're not gonna, you know, need any of the older stuff, you know, for much of, you know, worry about audits or anything like that. If you're gonna get an audit, they're gonna want to audit current things, and what you can show here, we got a little plus over here on the top right. It opens up our reports window. We have a daily summary report, which is our main one. I like to run one of these, kind of a live one. It'll just kind of show, you know, what we got going on here. You can run them in PDF, Excel, or CSV, which are the three main ones that kind of get uploaded. And we have a few other, depending on what you need. Daily summary is always the best, but we do have a spot check where you can choose 2 times to show that data. Like I say, depending on what the requirement is for running this report, sometimes if you get in an audit, they'll just ask for a spot check, and they'll give you some times and assets and, you know, things to do. And then we just have a regular, simple, cut and dry daily min-max. Just shows you the coldest and the warmest the cabinet's been, you know, each day from this period. So we've got a couple just general temperature taking reports. Additionally, we have an active users report, which will kind of show who all your active users are. And then alarms and alert subscription tells you who's set to receive all of these alerts from each of these locations as well. There's a bunch of other reports in here, some IntelliCheck ones as well, but then at the bottom we have a tickets report as well, so you can kind of pull your tickets report. And then the last part that we kind of drive home in here, once you get used to your reports that you're running and find the ones that work best for you, you can actually select the schedule here. And down at the bottom, there's an add schedule. You can actually create your own reports to run automatically for you. And you can select whether they run a daily report, a weekly report, or a monthly report. You just have to come in here and choose the start date, how long it's going to run. And then once you hit the notified users, you just simply are going to move them over here and hit the save. Once you do, however you had that report created is going to just automatically go to that user's email. So, you know, you can get this report emailed to you every day, every week, or every month, you know, and you have it just continually just keep coming from you, for you. The other option we have for the reports here is we have the new feature that just kind of got released, which at the Guilford County level, this is gonna be a little difficult, but at the individual school level, for example, if we select the snapshot feature, it shows our assets at that feature. If we select these, what this will do is basically, this is kind of like a spot, a general spot check report or snapshot report. Anytime we select our assets and hit generate snapshot, it's going to ask the user to log in. And once you log in and authenticate it, snapshot report was generated for me successfully. And now what we have here, I'm going to open this, and it shows that I signed off on this report. I reviewed my temperatures and they were good, and I signed off on it. So this is going to be another one of those new features that might, incorporate to food service, but this is another big medical feature, being able to sign off on these reports. If you have to do anything like that, it's available for you there, just really that simply, just by selecting the snapshot at any of these sites. You can just select the boxes next to reviewed and then hit the save. It's going to make you use your login credentials, and then the report will generate for you with the sign off on it. So only other things in this website, we have a settings, and we got both the user settings here. Inside the user settings, we have an auto refresh feature. It's not automatically turned on. You have to just simply slide that over, and from that point on, once you slide it over, hit the save here, your page will refresh every 5 minutes. We also have a couple themes here. You can use the dark theme like I'm currently using. You can go the light theme here. It'll go back to white. Or we have one more theme here that you can use, and that's going to be the magenta theme. I'm not a big fan of this one, but it's a different theme or skin, if you will, for your Fusion Live. So those are the three things you can kind of do here as far as your navigating your themes. And then the other last couple things here, for users and power users, they can't add their cell phone number or remove it, but they can come into their user area under the user settings, and they can add or remove their SMS or voice numbers. They can add a multi-factor authentication to their account. They can update their password if they wanted to. Otherwise, managers are the only ones who have the ability to kind of add these things for their users, or we can also add these for users and support as well. But users and power users can access this information through their user settings. Okay. Outside of that, that's generally going to be the overview that I give of the Fusion Live website here. This is where I generally will turn it over to any questions for you. But what I wanted to do first and foremost, before I forgot, is have you remind me of the site that you want to take out of commission, and I'll show you quickly how we do that.
That's ACOG Swan.
ACOG Swan, okay. So here, we go up to our devices, and we simply just have to, we know our IntelliGate's down, simply have to just remove our cooler and our freezer from this site and hit our save. Once we do that, and our Fusion Live page refreshes here, that ACOG Swan site will not have an icon next to it. The devices are still there in case whether it's a construction or whatever it is, if it came back online, we could use the same devices, plug them in, turn them on, and it's right back in the game here. So, but for now, we do not now have an icon next to that asset. So before I bring over our magical list of things that we got to do here, which really shouldn't take all that much work, in my opinion, to get this stuff all green here, I wanted to see if anybody had any questions about what we just went over, anything you wanted me to revisit or recover quickly before I brought the
Ryan,
other
go to
page over
the
here.
reports. Go to the reports and open the daily summary so they can see what that looks like. It was loading.
Okay. Oh yeah, it might have been loading for a bit. Let's see. There we go. So once your report's ready, you're going to have this green thumbs up. You can either download or open to view. I'm just going to open this one to view it. And I pulled this at the top level at Guilford County Schools. So if you see, it's always going to show the name of the person who ran it, the date and time it was generated on, and the time zone they generated it on. So you wouldn't want to turn this in because it's in Pacific time, if that made sense. And then it will show the date and time range I chose. What the daily summary is going to show is it'll show your school name at the top left-hand corner, and then your asset name in the middle, and then it's just going to be the average, minimum, and maximum for each hour. And then at the top far right column, you'll have a total average, minimum, and maximum for the entire day. Not only do you get to see what the temperatures are every hour, you get to see your whole daily average of them, kind of showing you, kind of helps mechanically show how these things function as well. We look at that daily average. I ran this report through today at midnight, which is why you don't see anything past the 11 o'clock hour here in Pacific, because we haven't reached the 12 o'clock hour. So we have this ND, which denotes no data. Okay. If I scroll down here, I know I'll get to some problems somewhere, and we'll show you what it looks like when you have an alert on the report. Should have some screaming yellow and or red. There's some red. So this kind of shows that we got something that trended up at about the 6 o'clock hour in Pacific, 9 o'clock hour this morning to 66. And it's been in the high temp there ever since. Over here at walk-in cooler at Stokesdale is what it looks like here. It's given us some problems. So in this report, that's what it looks like if you're in a critical state. And then if you are good, you just have the numbers there. That means you're represented, everything is in range.
Show them the real time with Stokesdale. Are you guys familiar that Stokesdale is having a problem at Guilford?
Yes, Stokesdale's being repaired right now. We're
Oh,
doing a
you are?
system
Okay.
replace.
Okay.
Okay. Never
Okay.
mind then. Okay.
Okay. All right. So basically that report there is just going to be just that. It's going to give you your average, minimum, maximum for each hour, and then your average, minimum, and maximum, for the entire day there for any site that you run this. This is a rather long one because I pulled it for the whole district. So it's going to pull every single site, all the assets for you, everything there. If you ran this at a school site, that school report, whether it's for a day, a week, or a month, kind of coupled with any of your asset measure logs and chart views there, can kind of quickly get you through any type of auditing situation or any just general record keeping that you still might hold, whether it be in paper or on file. And then we're always here. My job outside of doing these meetings and trainings here is just not only helping people get things back online, but helping people understand what they're looking at, whether that be with a report, with the system, or, with the alerts that you're getting. So, we're here really for you in support all day long. If I'm not on one of these, I'm answering the phone and helping people get things back online, and just keeps the process going. So having that said, only other thing really that I have to show is kind of our list that we had here, compiled a few weeks back by my partner in sport here. The yellow sites kind of represent the sites that have IntelliGates down, which again, they only disconnect from a power loss or an internet loss. Typically, if they're unplugged for whatever reason, we just plug them back in and they come right back online. If there was something wrong with with the port or the cable, internet cable, we can have those looked at. Generally, if it doesn't come back online, the lights on the device are going to kind of tell us everything we need to know once this thing has been plugged back in and booted up. They'll either tell us that they're good or tell us that there's something wrong, and there's really very little troubleshooting with the IntelliGates themselves. They're either going to come online or they're not. The lights will give us an indicator in support of kind of troubleshooting measures to do next to get these things back online. Every once in a while, that'll involve somebody in the network department or IT over there at the district. But most of the time, we can troubleshoot these with just any pair of hands on the ground in front of it, just to simply make sure the internet and power is plugged in and there's lights on the device. Once we see that, we can kind of move forward. The rest of these sites, literally, a lot of them have been down, some down more than a year, some down more than 2 years, just due to batteries. So whether the batteries were changed and person didn't trigger, or that they put the wrong batteries in, put the batteries in wrong, I'm not sure. But what we show as the last time that they were online, they had the critical battery. So usually when we have these, we just change the batteries, re-trigger the unit. Sometimes if it's been really long, every once in a while we'll walk somebody on site through a short out procedure, and then we'll just re-trigger them and reconnect these things. That simple with these. So whether it's IntelliGate or batteries and triggers, those are the two things that seem to be going on here. It looks like we're just going to need some boots on the ground to kind of work with us in support to get these things moving.
Okay. As far as the Guilford team, is there anyone that is assigned specifically to champion the e-control systems solution?
I believe that's probably me.
Oh, well,
Correct.
you weren't at the meeting when they asked for volunteers, huh?
Right.
Well,
And I have a
would,
shortage of boots on the ground.
yeah, well, I mean, the IntelliGates are those are the simple solutions, because you just got to ensure that those are plugged into power and the data port, as Brian shared, because sometimes we find out that these things are unplugged because people need to charge their iPhones. Everybody's looking for that valuable outlet. And so they say, well, here's a plug-in I can use. And so they'll unplug the IntelliGate, and the IntelliGate doesn't get plugged back in. And so then that's why you have a disconnect there. So I would say those would be your first, the first step is to just ensure that those IntelliGates are plugged into power and the data port. And then after that, can you pull that up, Brian, on your screen? That
Yeah.
Excel sheet, please.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go through and do a separate a kind of a rescrub of this too, just to verify this, and I'll re-add to this if needed, and I'll send an email with I'll separating the sites and separating the issues, so it'll be easier to kind of two separate lists. One that just needs the gateways to be looked at, because like Terry said, I mean, that's literally just to walk up to it. If it's got lights on it already, we don't need to reboot it. We just need to see what's going on with the activity on it. If it doesn't have lights on it, we can check the power and the internet connections, and generally, one of those are unplugged if the lights aren't on it. If they are plugged in and the lights aren't on it, and we reboot it, it tells us that it's not getting internet to it. So sometimes, every once in a while, it can be a port issue as well, or where it's plugged in isn't getting good internet. So, but I'll put that together here this afternoon and get that sent over. I got your email, Suzanne. I can send this over, so at least you have a kind of a simple copy. You can look at everything, and at least have a list active as of today of what we need to do moving forward, and the easiest thing, how many batteries you guys are going to need, things like that, to get everything back online.
The batteries are on the devices that are the sensing devices in the freezer and in the cooler, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yep,
do they
you
they
got
don't
it.
necessarily both need to be changed just because we change one?
It's two batteries and one
Not
sensor that runs the cooler and the freezer. So I would
okay.
change out both batteries.
Change both batteries. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yep.
Yeah.
And we do
Yep.
have a supply of batteries that our maintenance guys have got.
Excellent.
Of those particular batteries is what we purchased. And I'm slowly but surely getting them to get out there and try to get them back up and running.
Yeah. And anytime if they have any problems, or they're not sure what's going on while they're on site, if they can give us a call here in support, we'll make sure by the time they leave, everything's working, and and so forth. So we've had in the past where people come and change the batteries and walk away, and the site didn't get back online. So we want to make sure we don't have to make anybody go back repeated trips. We want to try to catch them while they're on site and work with them if need be to make sure they can confidently leave knowing they got that site online.
Perfect. That's helpful. If you could send me maybe a half a dozen of those screwdrivers with your support number on it, I'll put them in their toolkits.
Yeah, yeah, I'll get that together here. Get my guy to put a care package together here today, sent out, and then like I said, I will kind of reorganize this list a little bit and group these issues together. You know, and like I said, I'll send you kind of a little updated list that'll probably make things a little bit easier as far as what needs to. I mean, Chris has a really thorough list here, but when for me, I know exactly what all this means. I don't expect somebody working with this on the ground to kind of look at this and understand, really a lot of what this means. So I'll put this together and get it over to you. So, anybody who has got a working pair of hands can easily identify these gateway schools for sure, because like Terry was saying, we'll know in 2 to 3 minutes once they plug them in, what we need to do. A lot of times what we need to do is just walk away to the next site because we're back online and everything's good. So I'm putting that good energy into the universe here, that it's just going to be that easy. We're just going to plug a lot of these back in and change some batteries out, and life's going to get all back to normal here. Okay.
Oh, that's great. Sounds great.
Okay. Mark, Mylene?
All right,
anybody?
Suzanne.
Brian, I noticed this was recorded. Will you share this recording with us?
I recorded it and the file will be huge, but I'll send you a link to it.
Thank you.
Cool.
I'm going to share with Suzanne one last thing too, is that the daily summary report, Suzanne and or Kim, if you guys want that sent to your inbox, we can do that. So at the end of the week or the end of the month, if you want to, instead of having to go into Fusion Live to open up those reports, we can just send it to you in email form so it's in your inbox. So if you're interested in that, let us know.
Mr. Fisher, are you interested in receiving that report?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's good information. What I'm looking at too, while Suzanne is almost an expert on this, knowing her, she will become an expert because that's her style. So I'm confident in the information that we're going to receive and what she's going to be able to do with it. What I'm looking at specifically is to be able to take, whatever elements and go, okay, I need these 3 people to get alerts at all times. And to be able to, if it's email addresses or names or whatever it is, and that would be the manager, that would be the area supervisor, that might be myself, Kim, or Suzanne for sure. And that way it's not just, well, Suzanne should have seen it, so that's the way it is. I mean, she will see it,
Right.
but we need other people to see it before, before she has to, is what I'm
And
hoping to do.
invest in what they're looking at.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. They need to have invested interest in, hey, this is my freezer, my food, my cooler. This is coming out of my pocket, so to speak. But they need to take ownership in that and not just fall on to Suzanne to start calling people around and saying, hey, you got this going on? They need to be the ones calling us saying, hey, I got a freezer at 45 degrees for 5 hours. What do we need to do? Or sooner than that. So,
and that's honestly, once you get your area, whether it's an area manager or a kitchen manager at a site to kind of buy into it and understand what the alerts mean, and they don't have to log into it all the time, but if they log into it every once in a while, like, just to glance at it and, say, hey, everything looks good, I don't have to worry about it. But if they get an alert and they don't do anything, it's depending on what that alert is, it's either disconnected and we can't see it, or it's still getting warmer and nobody's done anything, nobody's checked it. As long as somebody on site buys in, it makes your guys' job at the top level a little bit easier too, because if you're on the Guilford County schools level, which is usually where managers, directors, people like that go, and you're on the alerts at this location, you're getting the alerts for every school under the umbrella. So if your people aren't responding when they get the alerts, then you guys are getting all kinds of alerts up there. So it's we can make them at each individual site. We can give users multiple sites, or we can have them get all sites. It's really up to how you guys want it, kind of laid out. But yeah, we can direct it however, whoever it needs to go to. We can do it in a tree, so if you guys won't get the alerts unless it's in alarm state for 15 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever it is, give them those area people or those on-site people a little time to react to it before you guys even get alerted. We can do that too. So
Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools has, I think, 3 or 4 TVs in their kind of main office room that display the temperatures. So when something is throwing an error code, it's kind of hard for it to get ignored because kind of everybody sees it as they walk by.
yeah, makes sense.
Y'all's office is
Okay,
laid
so
out a
the
little
next
differently
steps then,
than-
Brian, is you're gonna refine a little bit about what Chris sent on that Excel sheet. Get that to Suzanne and the team.
Yeah, I'm gonna refine
at
that.
Guilford. Okay, and then also
you got it.
I'll talk to Josh and just get him to send some screwdrivers, magnetic screwdrivers, and anything else that they might need for a quick fix.
Awesome.
So
Sounds good.
So Suzanne and Kim and Travis, you guys all good?
Oh, good. Thank you very much for taking the time to do this.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes,
good.
this was helpful.
And Travis, you're missing a C in your name.
No, you got an extra letter in yours. So.
I can tell you this, is that I've given up trying to spell it the right way. People just want to spell it FISHER, and phonetically it's the same, so let's just go with it.
I
Travis,
hear you. Well, see,
Travis,
I'll get
can I
the.
ask? Hey,
Yeah.
Travis, can I ask, are you kind of doing what Brian Danley used to and specializing on equipment, or?
No, I'm over the whole program. So he's.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be me.
Oh, okay, I got you. Sounds good.
Yeah. Suzanne
got
is the new maintenance foreman.
I got some good old stories to tell you then, Suzanne.
Okay, I'm all ears.
All right.
Hey,
Thanks,
Terry,
guys.
just a quick funny story. So I do get people asking me all the time, is there a C in my name? The weirdest one I ever got was somebody asked me, do you spell it with an F or a PH?
I've never had that one.
wow.
I thought somebody's name is actually Fisher, PHISHER. Never heard that in my life. So
No, I've never heard that. The last annoying one for me is that Terry with an I or a Y.
oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you
Thanks,
very
guys.
much.
I'll send the
All right,
video.
guys.
Too.
Okay.
Thank
All right.
you.
Bye, Brian.
Have a good afternoon.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yep. You too. Bye bye.
Bye.